vortexes that are co-creating this. Some of you have worked on the mental planes. You have a role, each and every one of you. It is different, but it's still a role. So it's important to look at each other and assist each other. And what we mean by assist each other can be as simple as choosing not to criticize, not to judge. No? Because remember, the more you're in your heart frequency, the more your reality first will come to peace. Whatever you need will come to you. You don't even have to think about it. You can, of course, but what we're saying is that you don't need to. Sit there every day and meditate for half an hour. You don't need to do that anymore. That was fourth dimensional. Fifth is a different reality. There's nothing wrong with doing it. You can teach others to do it, to go from the third to the fourth. You can, because the fourth goes in different stages, as you know. Okay? So, don't try to take someone from the third to the fifth, because you'll overwhelm them. You will have to, some of you, simplify your words. Simplify your communication so that you can help them. Huh? Need to do that. So, what you're doing is extremely important at this time. And every time you judge, you criticize, you put down, you know, you go from your heart into fourth dimensional. Immediately. Every time you say about yourself, oh, I hate my ankles. Oh, you know, what this bit here, you know, every time you do that, you criticize yourself, you judge yourself, you put yourself down. Oh, I'm no good at this. You know, every time you do this, you jump from the fifth to the fourth, every single time. Because judgment, criticism, control, all of these things is like grey matter, you know? It doesn't exist in the fifth. You are aware, all of you, that the fifth dimension is light. It's unity consciousness. When you criticize yourself or you criticize someone else, you become separate. You become like slave and master, don't you? One is stronger, more powerful, and the other one's weaker. So, slave and master doesn't go into the fifth. Don't kid yourself and think, oh yes, I've been in the fifth for quite some time, you know. And did you see what she did the other day? Do you see? If someone is saying to you, oh yes, I've been in the fifth for quite some time, and you know, this person, they're not good at what they do, run. Okay? Because they're not in the fifth. You don't need to judge them. You don't need to say, well, sorry, but you can't be in the fifth because you're talking about it. You know, you just say, okay, accept. Remember, it's not about judgment. It's about accepting. Yeah? Accept. You can have an opinion and you can criticize. These are two different things. You can have clearly an opinion on what you feel. There's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly okay. But if you're going to criticism, that's different. An opinion is, well, yes, I read that book. It didn't really resonate with me. I was a little bit bored, but that's just me, you know. A criticism, I read that book, it was garbage. Yeah. I don't know what it's all lies. It was just all lies. You know, that's a criticism. An opinion is okay. That's fifth dimensional. So it's very, very simple to stay in the fifth all the time. And at the same time, for the next number of years, next year, as you know, it's coming very quickly. How many of you had from the 24th, 25th, 26th, very tired in the evening, early in the evening? Yeah, that's good, okay? Because, yeah, it's very good. Because at that point, there were a lot of energies coming through. So you were actually, it's like short-circuiting. It's like putting a very high voltage into a light bulb, you know, and it blows up. So that's actually good for it. That's good that you did that. Now you're okay. You'll notice that you're okay now. Probably around 27th, you became all right again. So that's actually very good. Now, next year, as you're aware, is a very, very important year in some ways. Because part of the reason it's an important year is because there's been so much focus on it. Yeah? If everybody looks at this crystal and says, it's a miracle, it will create miracles. Yeah? So everybody is pointed towards next year being a particular year, and particularly around growth and enlightenment. So naturally, that's where all the consciousness has been, so that's what's going to happen for a lot of people. However, for a lot of other people, it's not what's going to happen. Remember we spoke about the gap, like these realities, dimensions will coexist with each other. Yeah? So, you will feel that gap even stronger next year. A lot of you, actually all of you, have moved through your emotional body. Some of you still have some residue in the emotional body, and you're moving into the physical body. Yeah? So, what will happen for you next year is that gap between the fifth and the fourth is going to become even greater. So you'll find yourself, and some of you already started doing this, you'll find yourself going, I can't face that person. I can't face that situation. I can't go there. I can't, my energy, I can't step inside. I literally cannot do it. Okay? That's a good thing, because your own inner knowing is saying, that's too heavy a vibration for you. You don't have to judge, you don't have to criticize, but honor yourself. That's too heavy a vibration for you to go into. Honor yourself. However, if you choose to go into it, don't beat yourself up afterwards and say, I knew I shouldn't have gone, why did I do it? Yeah, I accepted to go there, I made a conscious decision, okay, maybe I helped one of those people in that room. Unconsciously, they don't know it, but maybe they're sleeping better tonight. You know, just maybe. So don't beat yourself up, because then you close off your heart, you go back into the fourth, and you go bang, down into this feeling again. Okay? We want you to be high, neutral, high, neutral. None of this lows. Okay? That's what we want. So, as this separation happens, you will see more and more people leaving the planet. It doesn't need to be from some great, disaster, natural disaster, because planet Earth actually doesn't want that. Now, planet Earth is quite happily going into the fifth, with or without mankind upon it. Quite happy. So, planet Earth doesn't need your help at all. Right? That's why when you go into nature, you feel good, right? Planet Earth's not worried. Mother Earth isn't worried. She's not thinking, oh, I have to pay the electricity bill, I have to pay the telephone bill. No, because Mother Earth knows when I move, when I evolve into the fifth, my waters are going to be clean, my air is going to be fine, you know, I'm not worried about it. So that's why when you go into the forest or you go into the sea or you go to nature, you feel okay. So if you have to, do that. Get grounded. The more grounded you are, the better it is, because you're connecting with something that's peaceful, that isn't in stress or worry. So planet Earth doesn't necessarily want a physical disaster. Not because it hurts Mother Earth to have that, but because when you have a disaster, you have a lot of people who have died in trauma. And not only that, you have a lot of people who are still alive that are going, oh, it's terrible, oh, you know, and all projecting this energy into this area, which has to be cleaned up by who? You. Do you remember 7 years ago when you all started to clean up the astral plane? How many of you slept for months? None of you. You didn't sleep, remember? You had going into the astral, you were clearing out souls, you were having these really terrible evenings, you know, energetically. Yeah? So, planet Earth doesn't want that anymore. Huh? So you as a collective are also co-creating the prevention of disasters. You as a collective have prevented earthquakes here in Slovenia. You know, there was predicted many times a major earthquake. Didn't happen, did it? Because many people didn't want it to. So that's the power of the collective thought when it is positive. And it doesn't take that many of you. You know, when you think about how the collective of negative and the very small on a planetary, the whole planet, when you take the whole planet and you think of the collective of positive thinkers that existed very, very small, and look what you've done. You've shaken everything up. All of your systems are collapsing. And they're collapsing because they need to, because they were corrupt, because they didn't serve mankind. You know, you have the financial system that's going to transform. It can't get up. Every time it tries to get up, it collapses a little bit. That's why you don't feel it so much, because the first crash was very big. But now it just tries to get up, it collapses again. It tries to get up, it collapses again. So you're not feeling it so very strongly. But it's still happening. It's not going up because it cannot reformulate itself in the old manner with you all collectively thinking another thing. And you're a very small percentage. So can you imagine what will happen when all of you move into the fifth physically and stay there? How fast will these systems transform? And guess what? You didn't have to do anything but be in peace. In the fourth and in other incarnations, many of you have been warriors. And you remember this. Oh, I've got to fight. Yeah? But spiritually, you are not a warrior. Yeah? We don't fight. We're like, okay, we are not, say, the vibration of a rock, because that's very dense. But if you look at a spirit from a high frequency, we are like a rock because we stand our ground and we just permeate out. And that's how we allow things to manifest. We stay put, we let it go out. If there is something trying to, you know, the fifth in the fifth dimension, that's where light and dark separate, right? So under that they coexist together, above that they don't. The dark has wanted to penetrate the fifth many times, but it can't, because we stand our ground peacefully. We don't fight. We just stay. We just be. And that's what we're asking you to do. From your collective consciousness, from the fact that you've grown and you've moved into that, in between each dimension, as you move into it, it's sort of like a vortex. And we spoke about this before, remember? We said when you're in the vortex, sometimes you feel nothing is really happening. You feel not alive, neutral, not alive, not dead, nothing. Nothing's really happening. Stuck almost. You can't manifest, you know? You feel this. But in that vortex is like a playing field that allows you to let go of the last bits of grey matter that you have attached to you. That wasn't yours originally. Okay? You just had it attached to you. And so it's like a period of grace. So that when you move up into the fifth, you don't take any of that with you. So you don't have to fear, oh, well, you know, I'm going to go into the fifth with this pain or this fear of this or that, and then it's going to get even bigger. No, because you're not going to go in there with it. Now, we can hear some of you going, does that mean that I have to jump out of a plane to face my fear of heights? No, it doesn't. The fear of heights is about either dying or control. Yeah? So, no, you don't have to jump out of a plane to prove that you can let it go. Okay? So, when you move, as you're moving, which you are, into that, what you're doing is shedding a huge, huge light. And that light is shaking up the consciousness of others, which is why you have all these protests. Why you've got people going out in the street and screaming. Now, if you actually look back, now remember, your numbers are very small, even though you think they're big. If you remember back to, let's say, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, some of you a bit longer, didn't you fight with your families? Didn't you fight with your friends, fall out with friends? Didn't you come up against that change that you wanted to make? And push and argue the point? Yeah, you did it. And then, after a period of time, you said, oh, no, I can't be bothered, you know. Right? So you left some people behind, but you did fight, and you got very angry. Why is this like this? This needs to change. This, you see, why can't they do it like that? You got very angry. You had a period where you were angry, okay? When you moved. So isn't it only right that all of these billions start to get angry? So there's nothing for you to fear about this anger that's coming out. because it's normal. It needs to happen. They are letting go of the constraints within their mind, within the society, and they are fighting the very systems that you yourselves have risen above. So you are creating this fifth dimensional reality that's something completely different physically, and they are breaking down the third and fourth. You understand? So that's what's happening. And as that happens, that gap for you is going to get bigger and bigger. If you stick together, you can move it very quickly. Now, next year, that gap for all of you is going to become very big. By the end of next year, you will look back and you will say, wow, I cannot believe that I am so lucky to be in this position right now. And all this chaos went on, and I was fine. When your heart is open, you're connected to Mother Earth and you're connected to the universe. You're physically safe. Mother Earth will not allow anything negative to happen to you physically. Right? So you don't have to think, oh, I better not go here, or, you know, because you'll be in the right place at the right time. So you don't need to worry about anything. You know? That's what's really important, because next year you, all of you, are building that foundation of fifth dimensional physical reality. Physical. So you don't have time to feel guilty for being fortunate, for being safe. Let go of that guilt. If you have family members who are suffering, in whatever way they are suffering, and you feel, oh, I just cannot go into that house. I can't. Don't. And don't feel bad. Make that decision. Because you suffering with them isn't going to help. Now, that fifth dimensional physical reality will not be fully present within mankind until 2026. Okay. So you will still have pockets of areas where there will be, you know, injustice, slavery, abuse, these sorts of things. But they will be uncovered quite quickly, but there will still be some areas where the consciousness will not be completely transformed. Now, some of you when you move into the fifth, will also, after a period of time, like a few years, maybe 2 years, start to move into the sixth, seventh, you know, because the fifth is the doorway to the higher frequency. It's just the doorway, really. And for all of you, you come from higher than the fifth. That's where you originated from. So once you have access to that light, you'll move forward very quickly. Okay? And it's okay. You won't feel separated, because the fifth is about the unity. but it means that, let's say, now, in each dimension is, you know, a mental plane. Yeah? Each dimension has different planes of existence. So we'll take the fourth, for example. When the fourth dimension began to physically connect, it was 1987, right? And in 1987, if you look back, that's when technology really started to move very quickly. In the third, you had television, you had radio, you know, different. Each channel, each radio station has a different frequency in which it sends out information. Okay? So in the third dimension, that ability to do that was about this wide. In the fourth dimension, it was this wide. But in the fifth dimension, it's huge. So when you moved into the fourth, you got more computers, you had internet, yeah? So there wasn't internet, there was computers that stored information, but no internet. So then the internet came, mobile phones came, all these different frequencies to operate with lasers, yeah? Sound frequencies came. Many things began to transform and exist within the fourth dimensional reality of invention, creation, and frequencies. Now, in the fifth dimension, you have even more. So, when you start to move into the fifth physically, can you imagine what you will awaken within your society as far as creation, invention, how can we say, medical improvements, the way in which you travel, yeah, the way that you perceive information will even transform. You know how you see these movies where someone is talking, but it's like a hologram in front of you? Yeah. That sort of thing. You see? So you can be on one part of the planet, another person on another part of the planet, and sit down and have a chat. Look at each other, you know, but not physically be there, but be there. Mm-hmm. When you go, now, this teleportation is 8th dimension, right? So when you remember, we said some of you will move more quickly, yes? So some of you in years to come will be able to teleport. How fantastic. Of course, you know, you have to have other friends also. You can meet in places. So there will be a form of it, as we said, first with holograms, and then as you begin to expand, the energy that is available, the information expands within that dimension. So it is extremely important for you to stay in your hearts. Very. Because see how you're helping your community, your planet? How do you think these politicians, etc., are going to get the ideas that they need in order to transform that arena? They're getting it from your own awakening. Because you're creating like roadways, yeah? Like little roadways of mental information, thought patterns, so that someone will be laying in bed at night and have a dream. Or they'll be sitting peacefully, you know, just looking out a window and collect a thought, and that thought is yours. How many of you have thought about something, it would be really good to invent such and such, and within a year that invention is out, but you didn't make it?
Yes.
And you felt very annoyed with yourself. So, do you see? You literally send that thought out, and somebody else picks it up. So, if you in soul And your soul has all this information from all the planets that you've existed on. You know? From all the dimensions in which you've created or co-created. And you begin to get inspired. If you think you're creative now, my goodness. Yeah, you'd think, oh, what more can I learn? You know, I've done